welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. As always, you can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and now Patreon. And you can contact Dayspring Discussions at dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. And then, of course, find us on the Facebook group and on Twitter. Well, I am joined by a very special co-host today, none other than herself, Miss Lisa Locke McGahee.
Hello.
All right, guys. Well, the big story this weekend is Thor Ragnarok. Came out Thursday night in theaters. It is viewable to the entire world now, or I think the entire world. At least in the U.S. it is viewable. So go out, check it out. Lisa and I went and saw it last night. We're going to sit down and talk about it. But just give you a little background. This is the 17th film now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Can you believe it's been that long?
No, but you should probably preface that we're going to go spoiler.
Huh?
Did you say that? Did I miss it?
All right. Well, anyone who's listening to the show, I'll go and give you the warning. Yes, we do go spoilers. Go see the movie first, then come back and listen to us and see if your opinions vary from ours. We always do spoilers, guys, so this is your one and only warning. If you don't want anything spoiled, of course, we're going to talk about the post-credits scenes too, so you have been warned. Now, as I was saying, 17th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's been 9 years since Iron Man first came on the scene. We're about to hit the 10-year anniversary. Just before we get into it, how do you feel about the Cinematic Universe so far, Lisa?
I mean, I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They're fun. They're fun movies. You know, they have serious moments and crazy moments, and I enjoy them.
Okay.
They're fun movies. I mean, obviously I like some better than others, but I think overall, we've had 9 years now to get to know these characters, and I feel like, it feels to me like you feel like you know them. Mm-hmm. You know, like that you could just see, well, I could be walking down the street, like, I mean, spoiler already for this one, like the scene where Thor and Loki are in New York or whatever, and the girl stops to take a selfie.
You don't have to do spoiler. We already did the spoiler warning.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, but, I just feel like that's how these characters feel to us now. Like, I feel like all of these actors and these characters feel like our friends. I feel like we know them because they've been in our lives now for so long.
They have been. It has been a while, yes. Mm-hmm. So, all right. And this film is directed by Taika
I don't even know how you say this guy's name.
Taika Waititi is what I'm going to say.
Click on his picture. Sorry, yeah. We're looking
at
on
IMDb, so we're doing this while we're looking at it.
And he also voiced one of the characters.
Yeah, he voiced Korg in the film.
Yeah.
Now, Marvel's known for taking these directors who have done little independent films that are good and then bringing them into the fold to direct these big budget blockbusters. Some people say because franchises do this nowadays, some of the directors are a little easier to control, maybe manipulate, but I think a lot of them have a lot of talent, especially the who did the Winter Soldier and Civil War. What's the name of them? It's going to drive me crazy. I can't think of the name of them now. The something brothers. Who directed Winter Soldier?
The Coens?
No, that's not the Coens. Well, I'll think of it later. I will guarantee I will think of it later. Until then, the show must go on, guys.
Why can't I can see them. One's like kind of short. One's a little taller and skinnier.
Okay.
I can't think of their names.
We'll think of it here in a bit. Okay, back to Thor, okay? This is the third Thor film in the Thor franchise, I guess you could say. But it's Chris Hemsworth's fifth appearance as Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The last Thor film was Thor Dark World, which wasn't perceived very well. It's one of my least favorite in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mine as well.
But the first Thor film was great.
It's one of my favorites.
It's still one of my favorites. I say definitely top 10, maybe even, I wouldn't put it top 5, but definitely in the top 10 for me.
I think it's in the top 5.
Okay.
I think Thor is one of the better films in terms of quality of Marvel films.
Well, people seem to really like this film. Early reviews are saying it's really good. I haven't really heard a bad review yet from anyone about it, but I'm sure they're coming. Mm-hmm. Let's just start off with the basics. Lisa, what do you think of this film?
I liked it. I didn't like it as well as I was expecting to, based on all of the good reviews and everything that we've been, hearing prior, like going into it. I thought it was going to be better than it was. But, I did like it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was almost... It took the humor, I think, a little too far. There were too many funny moments. Mm-hmm. I think that it detracted from the serious bits a little bit. It was a little too much on the other side. Like, the Marvel movies always have some humor, but I feel like this one had too much.
Okay. Cool.
Where I didn't think it added to anything.
What was something that stood out to you? Something you really liked, and maybe something stand out that you didn't like?
Thor.
Okay, obviously Thor with his shirt off.
Oh my god.
Yes,
I can't
we
even.
know. And I'm sure the shorter hair helps you now.
Oh my god, he's so sexy.
You know,
short
if
hair.
I just grew up my beard, I'd be exactly like that. You know?
Right. He's like twice as like muscular as you. Did you see him? He must work out 12 hours a day. I mean, like seriously, the scene where he has his shirt off. I'm not kidding. If you haven't seen it, ladies, go just for that scene, because oh my god.
And then just go see the scene and then walk out.
He must literally work out 12 hours a day. Like, his muscles had muscles. It was crazy.
His muscles had muscles.
Like, seriously. And then you throw Loki into the mix. I love Loki. He's like my favorite. So the two of them together, I always think is fun. And they had a lot of good moments together, I thought, in this film. So I think Thor and Loki together were like probably the standout, like what I liked best about the film. What I didn't like about the film, let's see, what was my least favorite thing? I mean, probably kind of what I already said. I just felt like they threw the humor in there a little too much. There were too many scenes, I thought, where it was just it was almost like in like comedy sequels where the sequel does the same joke too much.
Uh-huh.
I felt like there was a little bit of that in this.
So for me, I hated the film.
Mm-hmm.
Did not like it. Just what you said. Too many jokes. From the moment the movie starts, you got Thor talking to himself in that little cage, and then he goes down, and he got and I was okay with that. I was like, okay, I knew there was gonna be humor, it was gonna be funny, and then he comes down, and he goes around in the change. He's like, no, wait, stop. And
I know. I thought that was ridiculous.
And after that, I was like, this is no, they lost me. And it was joke after joke after joke, and oh my god.
Yeah, there was too much.
What happened? And okay, my final straw really was when I started predicting the jokes. Like at the end there, when Banner jumps out of the ship, and I'm like, well, he's not going to turn. Nope, he didn't turn. There you go. I mean, it was too much for me. Way too much. They were just trying to put on the jokes, and I know that Marvel's had success mixing the action with the comedy, but like in comedy sequels where people are like, oh, well, they really like these jokes in the first one, so let's amp them up in the second one, and they just come off flat. They don't work. They seem stupid, and to me,
out of place. They just seem out of place.
Out of place. It does. Yeah. It just seems ridiculous that they put jokes in certain places. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 did this too, where I thought there was a little too many jokes. There was a lot of dramatic moments where they threw in a joke for it, and it was this one. Same thing. There were a lot of dramatic moments that didn't need a joke. It would have taken you out of the movie, and that's what it kept on doing. It kept taking me out of the movie, and it didn't work for me at all. So let's go through just briefly through character by character, kind of what we were thinking. Starting off with Thor, Chris Hemsworth. I hate that they've turned this character into a dumb jock. It goes with the jokes.
I don't think they've turned him into a dumb jock.
I think they've totally turned him into a dumb jock. The first Thor film, even the second Thor film, he had, some dramatic moments, things that, you could empathize with him, but the jokes buried him. And even from the previews of this film, when I was talking about it, it was just like, you joke, and it didn't work for me at all. So many of these jokes were put in there that it took me out of it. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the hero at all. I mean, there was some good stuff there with the fact that I like the idea that, without his hammer, he still had the electricity because Odin said that the hammer was a way for him to channel the electricity. I get it, but I think we should have seen more of that or seen more explanation of that throughout the film. And the fact that Odin left the film so early without really like an explanation, he was banished, and then he just like, well, I'm going to die now, and just poof, gone. I was like, that's ridiculous. He's his father. There should be more drama in there, It shouldn't be just like, well, let me get out of here because I don't have any jokes to tell. It didn't work for me at all. What'd you think of Hemsworth in this one?
I mean, I thought that he did too many jokes, but I don't think that it was as bad as you think it was. I don't think they by any means made him into a dumb jock. I still think he was the exact same Thor. He wasn't dumb, Sean. He was still the exact same Thor he was before. He was just being funnier. He was telling more jokes than he had before. I don't think they made him a dumb jock by any means. He still did all the things he did in the other ones and said all the same kinds of things he said in the other ones. He just had more jokes. And I didn't like all the extra jokes. I agree. There was way too many, and it took you out of the film. But I don't think they by any means made him into a dumb jock.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they definitely made him into a jock. I thought that, and I agree. I think the lightning thing was cool, but they didn't really explain it.
They didn't
well
handle
enough.
it. There was a lot of good story points. The story points in this were fine. They just didn't handle them very well. They're buried under joke after joke after joke.
I agree, but I am like taking that layer of joke after joke off and looking at the underneath part where you're just like, I don't even fucking care.
I can look at that layer, but the layer is part of the film, okay? You can't take it off. It's if it's embedded in the film.
It's not embedded. It's a layer of
It's
the
a
film.
layer that you can't scrape off.
Yeah, you can scrape off. That's what layers are.
Well, let me watch a totally different movie without that layer, but I can't because that's the movie they made.
Okay, well, whatever. That's fine. If you don't like it, you're allowed to not like it. I'm just saying I think you're being overly critical because you can't get past the humor bit.
No, exactly. I can't get past the fact that they took this good story and ruined it with jokes.
Yeah, they did. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying I'm able to look past that a little bit, and we're looking at character by character right now, not as the movie as a whole.
And then, like, also one thing that bothered me with this too was, again, same thing with Odin. They got rid of him so easily, so they continue on the story. I get it, but that one we didn't go too much. And then, speaking of the Warriors 3, and
they just killed them all off. Well, Lady Sif wasn't even in it.
Lady Sif wasn't even in it, and then the other 3 they killed just like that. You know, they were such an important part of the other Thor films, and literally Hela just came in, just knife, dead. Okay, you're gone. Let's move on with the story. There's no drama to it. You know, these were Thor's best friends. These are important characters in the Thor franchise or the Thor films, and they just like, well, we don't have any use for them, so let's just kill them off real quickly.
Yeah, she just like came in and killed everyone.
Yeah, it bothered me for that they dismissed the history of the films or the importance of these characters just so they could tell whatever story they wanted to tell. It just kind of bothered me. All right, Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Going to the post-credit scene, just jumping ahead real quick here. You got the post-credit scene. They're in space, and that big ship comes up. Okay, so my first guess on that is that it's Thanos. And I only say that because
Loki had to have taken that.
The Tesseract. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Loki definitely took the Tesseract.
The Tesseract, aka the Infinity Stone. And we know that Thanos is going to be hunting for the Infinity Gems, Infinity War, so he's coming after Loki for the Tesseract.
Yeah, because I knew that. I got to know what that ship was, but there's no way Loki did not take the Tesseract. They made that so obvious without showing him physically picking it up.
Given the fact that he's had such a connection to the Tesseract with, Avengers
films,
and stuff like that. But I say this also because I've watched the filmed footage on YouTube of the Infinity War preview they showed at Comic-Con. The really bad one where someone took out their camera phone and filmed it and then put it online. And the first scene in that, sorry if you haven't seen this, guys, yet, but the first scene, the Guardians show up and there's like this huge destructive battle that's taking place. And then all of a sudden Thor shows up on their windshield. So my theory is that Thanos showed up, destroyed them all, took the Tesseract, and Thor's floating out in space waiting for someone to pick him up. So that's why I think that is Thanos in that ship. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably right.
Either that, or maybe even my other guess would be the Nova Corps trying to collect the Infinity Stones as well before Thanos gets to them.
Yeah, because the bottom line is at the end of this film, Loki definitely has it.
Yeah, of course. And Loki, again, hands down, I think no one can doubt he's the best Marvel villain. I didn't like him in this. I mean, he wasn't Loki in this film. He didn't have any teeth,
Well, he wasn't the villain in this one. He was the mischievous brother who can't stop causing trouble.
I get it, but
so he was like the original Loki, like the Loki that Thor grew up with, because he was there with his brother.
That's true. He wasn't trying to hurt Thor, I guess.
Right.
So.
I mean, he wasn't being the Loki, the galaxy-wide villain that he was in some of the others. But you could still see it was there. He was always Loki.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought personally, he to me was the best part of the
film. The best part of the film, just to jump ahead to me, was Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
Yeah, she was pretty good.
I thought she was great. I think she had a great character arc, good history, good actress. To me, she was the best. She played her part really well. But yeah, to me,
I agree. She was very good.
Yeah, she was very good. All right, so moving on, we got our villain, Cate Blanchett as Hela. I'm going to let you talk on this one first.
No, I just thought she looked gorgeous. Even as a horrible, mean, nasty villain. She looked fucking hot. Like, seriously, with the, black, eye, whatever. Even when she was supposed to not look good, I thought she looked really good. But, no, I mean, I thought she was very, evil. She just had an evil about her, but it was almost like too evil. Like there was no.
She was more animated, you know.
Yeah, there was no balance. Like there was no like that's one of the good things about like most of the other villains or most good villains is you can kind of see their motivations. With her, like you can't see any kind of motivation. She's just evil. Like she just kills everyone. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. Just death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're not known for their villains. Kevin Feige even says villains are just there as a way to push the hero forward. Mm-hmm. They focus on the heroes, which I'm fine with. But Hela is a big villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Cate Blanchett is, hands down, one of the top 3 actresses in Hollywood right now. I mean, I think she's number 2 right next to Meryl Streep. Right there. So the fact that they took this great actress and literally gave her like nothing that could stretch her acting ability or showcase what she can do as an actress disappointed me.
Yeah, it was a very two-dimensional villain.
Yeah, so that kind of disappointed me. I mean,
especially in this like in a Thor film, because Loki has always been to me one of the best villains because you can see the good and the evil in him all the time. With her, there was no balance.
Yeah, I would love to see. Give me a scene. Just put Cate Blanchett as Hela and Tom Hiddleston as Loki in a room and just let them act. Let them talk. That's the thing I hate about it. There was no quiet moments. Like in the first Thor film or even the second Thor film, you got those quiet moments where like Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman were just talking about stuff and kind of having those quiet character moments that suck you in and make you care about them. We didn't have any of that in this film.
There was one with Loki and Thor in an elevator.
Yeah, that's true.
There was
one.
I mean, and I liked that moment. I thought it was a good moment, but it was like the only. But that Loki is being a dick in secret. But like that's even best about it because like they're having this like personal moment about their their lives and their relationship and how they feel about each other, and that Loki has something else planned. Yeah. But I thought that was like the only personal moment in it.
Yeah. I immediately when that elevator scene I looked at, I immediately thought of Attack of the Clones, that Obi-Wan because it kind of was the same kind of thing where they're going up an elevator and they're talking about their past and kind of what they've been through with each other. So I immediately thought of Attack of the Clones on that one, which we still need to start our Star Wars review. Yes. We haven't done that yet. But moving on, Idris Elba as Heimdall. Never been a big role, but Idris Elba always does his part. He always does it well. I think he fit it fine.
It was bigger in this one. Like, they gave him more to do. He didn't just stand there with the sword. He actually fought.
Yeah.
And saved a bunch of people.
It was a badass sword. I love that sword. It's a badass sword.
I thought he had... I mean, this was the best for him yet, because he actually got to act a little bit in this one. The other ones, he just stood around,
Yeah. Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master.
Who was Jeff Goldblum?
I thought he was... Okay, so I think he would have come off as better if the rest of the movie hadn't been, full of jokes. Like, he could have been the comic relief of this film.
If they just had him
if the whole film
relief.
Wasn't comic relief, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I think he did fine. He had the very last post-credit scene, and I feel like Marvel's doing that now, where like they give you 2 post-credit scenes or 1 mid-credit scene that actually sets up what's to come.
Yeah,
and the other one's just kind of a throwaway. Yeah, like in Guardians you had the Howard the Duck one, and this one you had the Grand Master. What was the one at the end of? Well, Doctor Strange I don't think was quite a throwaway because it was Chiwetel Ejiofor, kind of showing that he was going to be the villain in the next one. So
yeah, I don't really ever remember.
For the most part, a lot of them. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the very last one, I think was a throwaway where it really didn't mean anything to the story or what's to come. But yeah, so Jeff Goldblum, I think he did a good job. He always does a good job. You just, when you're trying to be, comic relief.
It got lost.
It got lost in all the other humor in that one. Tessa Thompson we talked about, unless you want to add anything else.
No, I thought she was very good.
Okay. Carl Urban as Scourge, a.k.a. the Executioner.
I didn't know he was going to be in this.
Yeah, so his character in the comic books is very much like Ultimate Warrior, Stone Cold, like killer, he's Hela's henchman. His name is the Executioner in the comic books. And, she tried to name him that in this film, but he didn't execute anybody.
He didn't want to be it.
No, he didn't want to be it. Which I get it. You can change the character for the film, and for that part, I would think it was fine. But again, it was just he was another comic relief character.
It was just a throwaway.
Exactly. A throwaway. He didn't really do too much.
Yeah, his character could have been completely removed from the film, and it wouldn't have changed it at all.
Exactly. All right. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, a.k.a. the Hulk. How did you feel about Hulk in this film?
I did not like Hulk in this film.
Okay, why?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because it was the first time that Hulk was like
Had a
person
personality.
as a Hulk. But even when he turned back into, I didn't necessarily dislike Hulk as the Hulk. It was when he came back as Banner. I thought I don't know. It was weird.
It's one of those things. I mean, let's go back to Carl Urban. Take Hulk out of the film. Does it change the story at all? Did it change the actual plot?
No, not really.
Exactly. All he was there was, he fought Thor, which could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And then Thor escaped, which Banner didn't
really help with.
And then what happened? He fought at the end, which could have been anybody fighting at the end.
I mean, I thought it was fine to have Hulk in there as Hulk. I thought it was interesting to see him have a personality as the Hulk.
Yeah.
But when he turned back into Banner, I thought it was weird. Like Mark Ruffalo was very. It wasn't like Banner that we've known.
He wasn't calm and collective.
No, he was very odd.
Yeah.
Like just the way he acted just didn't seem like Banner.
He was on an alien planet, so.
Well, I know, and he had just realized he'd been the Hulk for 2 years, but he just, I don't know. I didn't like the way that they made Banner when he became, when he turned back into Banner. I thought all the jokes about his pants being too tight and
Oh, but he's wearing Tony's pants.
Yeah, it was just weird. It just didn't, I don't know. I was. Like you said, I agree. I don't think they needed to have him in there at all.
Yeah.
I don't mind them putting the Hulk in there, but I thought when he turned into Banner, it was absolutely worthless.
They put Hulk in there just because people like Hulk, I think.
Yeah.
Now,
but I don't think that's wrong. I think that was fine. But I thought that he didn't need to turn back into Banner at all, really.
Yeah.
And when he did, they made Banner weird.
Yeah, they only had him in for the film for 10 minutes anyway. Mark Ruffalo and Kevin Feige have said that this is one part of a 3-part story arc for the character of the Hulk. The next 2 are going to be in the next Avengers Infinity War and the 4th Avengers film. So I'm curious what they got planned. Just looking at this, obviously the Hulk has grown more intelligent. He's staying around a lot longer, which does happen in the comic books where the Hulk, does get smarter. You don't see a lot of Banner in some Hulk comic books. He just stays Hulk all the time, especially during Planet Hulk. So I understand that. I'm just curious, if they say there's a story arc here, I can't see it as of right now. Okay, so we talked a little bit about Odin, Anthony Hopkins, barely in the film. I didn't like how they handled his death quotations here.
I mean, I didn't mind it. I think it was kind of Odin-esque. He wasn't going to go out in a blaze of glory. He was saying, he was old and he was ready to be back with his wife.
I'd much rather see him go out in a battle with hell or something like that. And again, the fact that their father died, the one they both seek so much affection of for so many years, kind of just went out. I don't mind it was a quiet moment. I just expected something a little different, maybe linger a little more. I did like it, of course, the kind of the symmetry, I guess you would call it, where Thor loses his eye at the end. He's got the patch, so he's pretty much like young Odin now. He's become his father, much like a lot of people do. That we grow up to be our parents. Hopefully you don't become your mother, of course. But, the symmetry at the end of the film. And I thought it was cool where they got at the end of the film, because they realized the only way to stop Hela was to let Ragnorak happen. Let Asgard be destroyed, and that, like Odin said, Asgard is the people, not the location. And in the comics, Asgard has actually been in many places. It's actually been in the U.S. at one point in the comics for a long time. So I like that they did that. And you have this group of people on this ship, Asgardian refugees, just out in space. I think that's a whole adventure by itself that I don't think we're going to get to see because Infinity War is coming.
Right.
And we're not going to see that. But that's a cool concept. I like where the film ended. Again, story-wise is not the part. It was that layer of humor throughout that just did not work for me. Last character we can talk about is Korg, voiced by the director, Waititi himself.
See, I think it would have been, again, with the humor, I think if we just had Korg and the Grandmaster, it would have been just enough humor.
I agree with that.
Because I thought Korg was really funny.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great, but added into everything else, it was too much.
Yeah.
But I think if it had been just him and the Grandmaster had been the humor, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought his humor was
Now,
was
Korg
great.
in the comics is from the storyline Planet Hulk, which is what they tried to incorporate into this film. Was a little bit of that Planet Hulk storyline that a lot of people like. And Korg was kind of like Hulk's second in command in that storyline. He wasn't funny in the storyline. But, again, I liked him in this if it wasn't for everyone else cracking jokes too.
The thing is with Korg, what I thought was good is that he wasn't trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made him so funny, is he was just kind of like a clueless... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it wasn't
it was kind of like Chris Hemsworth playing Thor
in the first one.
He didn't know Earth, so he was clueless, so it came off as funny.
Right.
Whereas this one,
they were like literally
he was trying to be funny.
He was trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what I liked about Korg in this one, is he wasn't trying to be funny. His character was just funny. Mm-hmm. In an uncomfortable, weird kind of way. It was funny. And
to wrap this whole film up, really, it's, for me, I was talking to my brother last night when I came out of it, and I made this joke. I was like, hey, did you go see the new Flash Gordon movie? He's like, what? What are you talking about? There's a new Flash Gordon? I'm like, yeah, it's called Flash Gordon Ragnorak. Because literally, it didn't feel like a Thor film. Thor: The Dark World, despite what it was, felt like a Thor film. It was an epic space adventure that almost felt like a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I agree.
It was, it didn't...
Even with the music.
Yeah, the music and, everything like that. It felt like they had the story already in place. And they're like, well, we don't know what to do about a third Thor film. Hello, let's put Thor in this movie that we already have, a story for. Because honestly, I mean... I would even say, when he got his short hair and everything like that, if you didn't throw in, like, the mystical electrical powers, I'm like... This would make a really good Flash Gordon film I'm watching here, he's even got the look for it and everything like that. But it was a big space adventure, calling back to the Kirby, wild days of Thor comics, and I get that. But even then, it's not like the classic Kirby days. It didn't feel like a Thor film to me. It didn't, too many jokes, and honestly, it's at the bottom of my MCU films. I don't know if it was the very bottom.
It's not the very bottom.
Not the very bottom, but I would definitely say bottom 5 for me in MCU films. So, but people seem to like it. I get it. I get why people like it, because people want to go and see the adventure and the laughs, and they're not as attached to or invested, perhaps, as you or I in these characters. But yeah, I didn't like it. So, all right. Anything else you want to talk about before we go?
Thor's fucking sexy.
Okay, well, we already established that, so let's not go on old ground here. We've already covered those tracks, so we'll go on. Next up in the MCU, we got Black Panther, which they showed a preview for.
Yeah,
so,
it looks awesome.
I'm more excited for Black Panther because we've seen 2 trailers for Black Panther now.
They look so good.
And guess what? No jokes. I mean, I'm not going to say there's not going to be any jokes in this film, but...
It looks like they're taking it pretty seriously.
Exactly. If you take the Thor Ragnarok trailers versus the Black Panther trailers, totally different. They're taking it very serious, and that's what I want to see. I'm very interested in the storyline. I want to take the character of T'Challa and see how he deals with taking over the mantle of this powerful nation. Give me some good character development on that, and I think we're going to get a good film. Some say also maybe Marvel has been a little more hands-off and let Ryan Coogler direct it more, because it is, a important film for a lot of people, being that it's Black Panther, Black cast, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm excited for Black Panther.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Really, and then of course we got Avengers: Infinity War coming out next summer too, which I'm excited for, and I still can't think of those brothers' names. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Watch me do it.
No. There's too many brothers in Hollywood that direct shit.
It was Russo Brothers.
That's it.
Russo Brothers. There we go. They're coming out with Avengers: Infinity War. I'm excited for that, given the fact that I love Winter Soldier and I love Civil War. I think those are probably my top 2 favorite MCU films, really. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it for us. Now it is your turn. Fire back. Let us know what you think. Did you like Thor Ragnarok? Did you not like it? Are you somewhere in the middle? Hit us up, dayswingdiscussions@gmail.com. Facebook group, of course, is where you're going to find us the most. And then on Twitter, you can find me personally, Slim Dayspring 12 on Twitter and Instagram. And that's it, guys. So, until next time, may the Force be with us all.